Hello and welcome to True Crime Daily, the podcast updates. In 2021, then 14-year-old Aiden Fucci was arrested for allegedly stabbing and killing his classmate, Tristyn Bailey. We covered the case of the 13-year-old's murder on True Crime Daily, the podcast, a few times, and now we have a big update. On February 6th of 2023, the same day the jury selection was slated to begin, Aiden pleaded guilty to first-degree murder. He could face life in prison with the possibility of parole maybe after 40 years. Let's look back at this tragic case. Our next case is out of Florida. This is where a teenage boy is accused of stabbing a teenage girl, stabbing her to death in a brutal attack back in May. Now, he recently made a very bizarre video court appearance. This happened last week. Plus, there is new video evidence in the case that's being released. Aiden Fucci appeared confused and is seen muttering to himself on camera during a video link court appearance on Wednesday, September 1st. Fucci is being held in the Duval County Jail. That's in Jacksonville, Florida. He was taken into a holding room at the jail for a pre-trial court hearing last Wednesday, and that's when he started acting kind of erratically. He was rocking back and forth in his chair. He looked around in a way that some have described in a paranoid manner. WJX-TV reports, quote, at one point he can be heard talking about demons, saying, "Please don't let the demons take my soul. The demons are going to take my soul away." Then he asks, "What's going on? And why am I here? I just want to talk to my mom and my dad. What's going on? What's going on?" Aiden's attorney filed a speedy trial waiver, and the case is scheduled to be in court again on October 28th. So, Aiden is being tried as an adult in this case. It is indeed bizarre behavior, and no doubt, Danny, I think that his competency will have to be examined now.
Yeah, I'm sure that they will, and it's not uncommon for people to do this. What I look at is his actions prior to all of a sudden being confused and all of these other things. And if you go back, he told a friend or classmates that he wanted to kill someone, that he wanted to take someone out into the woods and kill them with a knife. So there's your premeditation, and crazy people don't usually premeditate murder. It's more spontaneous. It happens during one of these moments of confusion or rage. But to plan it, to do it, and then my understanding is once he was arrested, that he was rather jovial in the police car, and it doesn't fit the same profile of what you're seeing now in the courtroom. This display of potential insanity.
Though, if he suffers from a severe mental illness, he could have, these huge stretches of erratic behavior where he may seem like he's engaged and present and then have the delusions. So, it is possible that both things are possible, right? That he could present in both manners is what I'm saying.
Sure, it's absolutely possible, and I know nothing about his medical history, and I'm no doctor, so absolutely. It's appropriate to go through the procedure of seeing if he's competent to stand trial, if he's competent to appreciate the crime he committed or alleged to have committed, and that's appropriate.
Yeah, and I'm by no means suggesting that any of this would absolve him of any responsibility. He is charged and he has pleaded not guilty, but none of this would absolve him from any responsibility. I'm just wondering what's going on with such a young person with such kinds of erratic behavior. And what I don't know is whether what is seen in this video where he is being present for a court appearance, whether that's real or he's pretending, or maybe a combination of it all. We really don't know yet, but it definitely is bizarre if nothing else. Now, according to investigators and court records, investigators said that Aiden had a notebook And in that notebook, he had satanic drawings. And his girlfriend told investigators that he would hear voices in his head that would tell him to kill people. So that's in reference to what you're saying. And he did tell children at school, young people at school, that he did want to take someone out and kill them and stab them to death. So again, these could all be examples of what was going on in his life. And of course, I always have to ask this question. These, to me, are some really serious red flags, nothing to joke about and nothing to look the other way. So I'm sure that will be coming out later as far as who knew what and who didn't do anything about it.
Right. I mean, this is like the school shootings. You know, you have these troubled kids that are going down the wrong path, and nobody seems to notice it until it's too late. But you do have some significant problems here. And when you mentioned the satanic drawings in the notebook, you know, the first thing I think of is Richard Ramirez. And, you know, the Night Stalker case, I was a young deputy sheriff when all of that was going on. And I'm very familiar with the case. And the fact that you can be crazy and do things that, you know, the general population would view as insane doesn't mean that you can't appreciate your crime, that you don't have the ability to appreciate the wrongness of the crimes you're committing.
Oh, he has the creepiest eyes of, I think, any serial killer I've seen. He always undid me. Always.
Yeah.
Very upsetting. Very upsetting. You know, I can handle a lot of crime, but when it comes to covering serial killers, that's when I kind of come a little undone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oof. Yeah. Okay, back to this case. So Tristyn Bailey was 13 years old at the time of her murder. She was last seen around 1 a.m. on Sunday, May 9th. And May 9th was Mother's Day. So she went out Saturday night to, you know, hang out in the neighborhood. This is kind of like one of those developments where, you know, there are places for you to walk and parks and all of that like that. So she went out that evening, but she never came home. So her parents reported her missing. Again, this is a residential area with community parks, and it's about 22 miles south of downtown Jacksonville. It's a really nice little area, right? Where most people feel very safe. So her family reports her missing Sunday morning. And then full on search, including not just police, but volunteers. And while the search is going on, right? Because a young girl is missing. This is a close community. This is something you were talking about, Danny. It's how he was acting. Aiden does something that to me was the most chilling of all. Despite all that other stuff and shenanigans in the courtroom, he posted a selfie of himself on social media, right? Kind of like doing the patrol car thing, because obviously there were police in the area. And he flashes a peace sign and the caption reads, "Hey guys, has anybody seen Tristyn lately?" Now that, to me, is the really scary, demented part. Obviously. Plus that he allegedly killed her, but it's like, ooh, yeah. So Tristyn is then found at 6 p.m. on Sunday. Her body was discovered in a retention pond. Tristyn Bailey had been stabbed 114 times. And for all of you who know that, you know, we originally covered this case because it was so disturbing, that is violent and intentional, and so many of her stab wounds were actually defensive wounds. So that tells you how long this went on for, and the rage in which the killer stabbed her. Danny, what do you make of this?
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say. Is what you have here is the rage, and we've seen it before, and I've seen it personally in several murders. And there's no doubt about it. You know, it's an absolute unhinged again. You know, we go back to someone being unhinged, unleashing all of this rage, and the question is why? And clearly, she was fighting for her life, and her killer was very persistent, and he was going to kill her. And I know that he has not been convicted of this yet, but it's pretty clear. I don't think anyone's really out there looking for any other possible killers. There's enough evidence to say that he's more than likely the person who did it. So the question would be why? Why did he do it? I know she was a cheerleader. I don't know what his social status was at school. Maybe she was someone that he wanted to be able to date and never had a chance with. I don't know. But clearly that's a very, very brutal and rage-filled murder.
And they're so young. So Tristyn was 13, Aiden 14. This is crazy. They're so young. So young. So just Aiden kids. Was, right? Just kids. Aiden was arrested Sunday night, and he was charged with second-degree murder. And then on May 27th, the Florida State Attorney announced that Aiden would be tried as an adult, and they had bumped up the charge to first-degree murder after a grand jury returned an indictment.
Yeah, I would think that the prior statements to classmates about wanting to take someone out to the woods to kill him, that's more than enough right there to go first-degree murder. And I'm glad they're charging him as an adult. 14 seems young, and it is. But I've handled many cases where 14-year-olds have committed heinous murders, and there's something wrong with our society when we have 14-year-olds doing these things, but they still have to be held accountable.
This wasn't an accident. This wasn't like two, young kids or teenagers roughhousing it and someone, got bonked in the head. That's not what this is. This is a violent, savage murder. This is nothing short of that.
Right.
So a knife was found in a pond near where Bailey's body was found. The tip of the knife that they found was broken off. This, to me, actually, I think is unbelievably strong evidence as well. The medical examiner found the tip in Tristyn's body. So I'm sure that they're working on all the forensics and the DNA to match all of that. But that...
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just going to say, that will conclusively put the knife that was found as the murder weapon. And of course, her DNA will also substantiate that, but it's also very likely that his DNA is going to be found on that weapon as well. It's very, very seldom is there a knife attack where, the attacker doesn't end up getting cut as well.
Well, that brings us back to what you were talking about. You were talking about how the mother is now, Aiden's mother has been charged with covering up because she was in the process of washing some bloody jeans. And the question, of course, would be, whose blood would that be? It would most likely be Tristyn's blood. And some of it could also be Aiden's blood, right? We don't know what wounds, if any, he had. We're still waiting on that kind of information. So some of the DNA testing has come in, and police say that her DNA was found on his shoes and on a T-shirt that was found in his bedroom when police went to talk to him and to search the property. But what is in debate here is what evidence was there on the jeans? Like, how helpful could those pair of jeans have been? On June 5th, Aiden's mother, Crystal Lane Smith, she turned herself into authorities, and she was booked and charged with destroying evidence. It's a third-degree felony. She was released on a $25,000 bond. The St. Augustine Record newspaper reports that home video surveillance from Aiden's mother's own home, right? When you kind of help your own case here, recorded her taking a pair of jeans from her son's room after he was taken into custody by the sheriff's deputies on Sunday night, the same jeans that Aiden was reportedly wearing during that attack. So in the arrest warrant, they write, Smith retrieved what appeared to be a pair of blue jeans, taking the jeans to the adjacent bathroom and appeared to be scrubbing the jeans in the bathroom sink. The video then showed Smith taking the jeans to her master bedroom for a period of time. So that would be surveillance cameras inside the house.
Yeah, and I was going to say, Anna, that brilliant police work there. That's one of those things that could be overlooked. With a case like this, you wouldn't necessarily immediately think that, the video surveillance in the home after the murder would be beneficial, but clearly it can be, and in this case it has been. So yeah, good for them. Great investigation.
And then police records also state that the bathroom sink tested positive for the presence of blood. We don't have more detail on whose blood it was or anything like that, but I'm sure that's still coming. So I think you've got his writings, his sick desires to kill someone that he verbalized to friends. Then you have her DNA on his sneakers. You have the bloody jeans. You have her DNA on his t-shirt. You have the home surveillance video. You have him acting weird. You have the mother charged for covering up for the son. It's quite a case that they're building.
It is. It's a really solid case. And my sense of the matter is if they don't buy, the insanity plea that he's clearly going to make, they'll be wanting to negotiate some type of a plea agreement. And in a case like this, I really hope the state does not allow that. They need to prosecute this person and prosecute him to the fullest extent.
And like we said, these are cases when we say to you on this program that we're going to keep an eye on these cases, we do. And when there are huge developments like we just saw in these two cases, we will bring them to you because they're cases that everyone wants to know more about and everyone truly wants justice here.